cases? Is it actually a factor to be considered with regards to battered spouse syndrome, whether or not there was a prior victimization?
Yes, if you've been a victim before, it makes you more likely to be a victim again.
And you mentioned loss of a parent. Did Marsha Thompson lose a parent as a child?
Sort of lost a parent twice, the same parent twice. So lost a parent around the age of 8, the father, in regards to divorce, and then loses him again when he dies, when she's 10 years of age. She was connected with him, and she reports depression and sadness from that period of time in her life. And that also shows up on psychological testing, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But that shows up later on, too. So it's empirically verified she's depressed, and she cites that period of time as when she was sad and depressed.
When Marsha Thompson talked to you about the incidents of abuse, which the jury already heard directly from her, what was her demeanor?
She was tearful. She was sad. She looked fearful. She looked embarrassed and humiliated in regards to what was happening to her, especially in talking about sexual abuse. She had to pause several times to be able to talk about it. So it was seemingly still in the just a little bit over 2 months, about 2.5 months after the incident where I spoke to her, it was still fresh for her. So for her, it was still an emotionally distressing, upsetting experience as I detailed each one of those events.
When it came specifically to the sexual abuse and just discussions about sexual things, did you have to ask her direct questions in order to get that information from her?
So unfortunately, I did, and that's to establish whether or not there's been battered spouse syndrome or she meets the criteria for that, because the criteria is very difficult. It's not just you can be abused and you get battered spouse syndrome. There's very specific criteria. So I had to ask her those questions, and there's always the concern that you have as an evaluator that you're going to re-traumatize the person. You're asking about these horrible, awful, you're a stranger, asking these horrible, terrible things that happened to them in their life and asking them to detail that. And you can be a psychologist with good people skills and be warm and supportive, but it's still very difficult to talk to anybody about that kind of stuff. So yes, I had to go down and detail each one of those things for the evaluation.
Dr. Michael Brannon, he is tremendous. We talk about witnesses tipping the scales of justice. That's what he's doing right here, illuminating this situation that is really tricky and tough for this jury to resolve. We're going to hit the pause button. You're going to see all of his testimony next, right after the break. Did a customs agent commit cold-blooded murder?
Marsha Thompson is accused of fatally shooting her husband as he's lying on a couch.
She's claiming self-defense, alleging that Terry Thompson repeatedly threatened to kill her.
So what really happened inside this home?
Now a jury will decide the fate of this law enforcement officer.
And Court TV will bring it all to you.
The abused wife or murderer trial.